What is the craziest looking knife in your collection? How's it going, everybody? I'm Rollshambo, the connoisseur and collector of all things sharp and shiny. And today we're talking about this guy. This is the Old Squirrel Knives Scythe by our good friend over at Tier 1 Gear Reviews. That's right. This is his knife from his channel. It's his knife company, which is fantastic, by the way, because I love it when knife reviewers make their own designs. It's one thing to sit here on my pedestal behind my camera and tell you, you should fix this, you should make it like that. It's completely different when you go to design your own and then have the courage to put it out to market and put your own money behind it. So shout out to Tier 1 Gear Reviews for having that courage, for taking that step, and for making something truly different. Now, if you're new to knife collecting, make sure you hang on till the end of the video because I will have some bonus info in there just for you. This is a knife that's part of the Apex pass round, which means that we need to get a move on. We need to send it to the next channel so that they can give their 2 cents. But before we do, I'm going to give my 10 cents. This is the Old Squirrel Knives Scythe. Let's get into it. Alright guys, so this is a knife that I've been talking to Tier 1 Gear Reviews about for the last couple of months, ever since he teased this on his Instagram. And if you haven't followed him yet on Instagram, you're definitely missing out. So I'll have his Instagram pop up on the screen. If you're part of the Gram, go ahead and give him a follow. But here's how the story goes. I have been watching his channel since before I made my own. And so I was there when he came out with the fixed blade version of this scythe. That's right, he came out with a fixed blade version, and it didn't even go to pre-order because it was massively popular. They basically sold out before the pre-order could even happen. And so if you haven't seen this before, that's why. But this was initially a fixed blade. And that's how it goes for a lot of knife designers. They will release a fixed blade because, they don't have to worry about moving parts. They can see if people like the blade shape. They can see if people like the design. And then if it's popular, they will release a flipper or a folder. And that's kind of what happened here. So I saw that. And at the time, I didn't have a ton of subscribers. And I reached out to him and I said, hey, I really enjoy knives that push the boundaries of what we consider normal. Can I get my hands on a review unit? And he said, yeah, absolutely. So this is that. This is the knife that I've been waiting to check out for months. And I gotta say, it does not disappoint. So before we get into it, he was kind enough to provide us with a little bit of an information sheet. I'm sorry if it's crinkled up. The knife was wrapped in this. So he says that we can actually read this on camera, so we're going to go ahead and do that. And he says, first off, thank you for temporarily adopting our newest child. We've worked very hard over the last 2 years to make this a reality. As you may know already, this is basically a folding version of a somewhat popular design we re-released in 2021-2022 of the same name, the Scythe, which is impressively made start to finish by Chris from Old Squirrel Knives and custom sheaths by Guster Leather. Since they sold out before we could really even run an actual pre-order, we figured it would only make sense for us to follow up with a folder version. During our search for OEMs, we ultimately chose Shieldin knives based on the quality of another prototype they had made. The rest is history. Ultimately, our main goal with this project was to introduce a budget Pikal to market, something that doesn't really exist sadly, without slacking on the quality of materials in the process. Which Shieldin did a great job with, considering it was something they've never done before. Hopefully once these make their debut, it will allow more people to experience just how cool and useful the Pikal style really is. Of course, it is not meant to be a workhorse by any means or replace your favorite banger. Ultimately, it's just something that is meant to be small, lightweight, fast, and super concealable that will get you out of a pinch. Make no mistake, it's a dangerous little bastard, and I definitely wouldn't want to be on the business end of it. Thanks again, Tier 1 and Old Squirrel Knives. The price looks like it's going to be between $60 and $70. The blade is a 154 cm, black polished micarta handle scale, nested steel liners, and of course caged ceramic bearings. And then he has a little PS at the bottom where it says the final version will have a small reversible wire clip, not the eyesore it has now. Okay, I've just felt like that was worth sharing because that's the information that I got with it. You now know what I know, but maybe I know a little bit more. For example, if you don't know what a Pikal is a style of knife grip, which is basically a reverse grip. This is a Pikal grip. So yes, this is kind of a self-defense styled knife. Now, is this a self-defense knife itself? I don't know. I think it's a knife. You know, it has this hawkbill style blade, which is something you typically find on karambits, but it does not look like a karambit knife. It looks different. There's no retention ring on the back, which I actually really appreciate. And it's a small knife. Let me do a quick comparison for you. Here is the ephemeral Spyderco Paramilitary 2. Yeah, it's quite a bit smaller. As far as the carry profile in the pocket, the handle scales are a little bit thicker, which honestly I think is very, very important because you want to be able to get a good grip with slightly thicker handle scales. You can do that. It has a matching micarta backspacer, which is a full-length backspacer. That's great as well because you got a lot of cutting edge right here that it would be easily damaged in the pocket were that an open back design. It does have a flipper tab and the action is good. I mean, it does not take a whole lot to deploy this. You know, a very, very light button press. If you need to light switch this into existence, it will fly out. It's very fidgety, believe it or not. And for me, fidgety is how much do you want to play with it? And, you know, this is a knife that I could very much see being a very nice backup knife. And while some people would look at this and say, oh my gosh, curved blade for self-defense. No, we have enough of those. The maul is safe, let it die. But I will say this. If you've never cut anything or tried to cut anything with a blade shape like this, it's perfect because whatever you're cutting is not going to escape that edge because it has that really deep recurve. It's really easy to stay in that cut. If you're someone that opens a lot of boxes, that's a very fine tip. That can pierce the hell out of some tape. I would be a little bit afraid to sharpen this. And the reason is because that's such a fine tip, I feel like it'd be really easy to break that tip off. Now, would it be hard to reprofile it? I don't know. I don't know. But you can definitely sharpen this. You just need the right sharpening apparatus, which is something like a rounded stone or the edge of a stone that you don't care about rounding out over time as you file down at it. A lot of people are afraid of sharpening this style of blade, but it's not hard if you do have the right tools. The irony here of the jimping here on the back of the blade is not lost on me because a Pikal is supposed to be reverse gripped like this. What do you need the jimping for? I can only assume that it's a practical application for you to rest your thumb right there. Now, my finger naturally wants to pop up here, but I do not suggest it because that is not an adequate place to rest your index finger, and it is right there next to the blade. You do have a sharpening choil, and yes, that is a sharpening choil, but this is going to be your normal grip like this. If you want to go into a Pikal grip, it's actually very, very comfortable like this, and I could see this being a last resort, can't run away type of knife in a really bad situation. And the fact that it's easily concealable does make it ideal for that, but how many of those situations do we run into every day? So again, that means that this is going to be your normal grip. Now, if you missed it or if you skipped past my little informational letter that I read over, this is 154 cm on the blade. This is polished micarta, and that polished micarta looks great. And it feels really good and solid too. It feels more solid than G10. I absolutely love that pivot logo right there. That's phenomenal. The jimping on the flipper tab actually acts as a nice stop for your index finger. And then of course the jimping on the back right here is perfectly sized. You get all the jimping right there. It's a really good grip. Now, in this grip, it is not a full 4-finger grip. The pinky does slide off. Not a huge deal. I do not feel like I'm missing anything on this. The moment you go to a reverse grip, however, it is a full 4-finger grip. See how that works? That's crazy. It's insanity. A knife that was meant and that was built for the reverse grip. And I know, like, if you have knives, chances are you put your knife in a reverse grip. Like, if I had to, would I? I mean, like, if I really had to, I couldn't run away. I had to defend myself. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, maybe not. But I'm just spitballing here. I do think that it's insane that the reverse grip allows for a full 4-finger grip, but a regular grip does not. And if you're wondering about the size of my hands, I do have roughly large to extra large size man hands. If you're looking at glove sizes, I know what they say about men with big gloves. As far as the pocket clip, in the letter he does mention that he's going to be putting a reversible wire clip, which only leads me to assume that you'll be able to move it to the other side as well. It's rocking the steel liner lock, and that is a nested liner. We're looking at about 20-ish%. Yeah, there is no blade play up, down, left, right. There's no lock rock. And as far as blade centering is concerned, it might be a little bit to the left, just a tiny bit. Definitely within acceptable tolerances. And I haven't messed with this knife, guys. It could be that if I tighten up that pivot a little bit, it centers itself out. This is essentially a prototype, but I'm really, really interested in getting one. The $60 to $70 price range puts this squarely in most people's budget ranges, and I think that this is a fantastically cool knife for a budget range. I love the fact that it's a different style than we're normally used to seeing, and even different for this style of knife that's meant to be in a reverse grip. There's nothing else quite like it out there, and I think that that's fantastic. I think that we need to leave the comfort zone that is drop point, frame lock, blah, blah, blah. I mean, this is cool. It is a little bit weird that, you know, it's this small knife, but it has this big profile while closed, and that has to do with the hawkbill scythe blade shape. I feel bad calling this a hawkbill blade shape. It is really a scythe. I mean, and I do enjoy the fact that while there is billboarding on this knife, it's not something that you are noticing right away. Like, take a look at that. We'll zoom way in there. There is the Old Squirrel Knives logo, the word scythe on it, very small. And then on this side, it says 154 cm. 154 cm is a really, really good mid-range steel. It's going to be fairly rust resistant, fairly tough, fairly wear resistant. It's just a good all-around steel. Now, when I was talking to him, he did mention that they were eyeing a slightly bigger model. So I wouldn't be surprised if there was a more premium version of this coming out that is also a little bit bigger. What that'll look like, I do not know. We chatted about it. I'm not going to say what he said just because nothing is confirmed, but do not be surprised if this comes in with titanium and inlays and all sorts of crazy stuff. I know this is going to be popular because it's so cool, and because I know that I'm not the only one who's been waiting for something different. Guys, I'm curious to hear your thoughts. What do you think of the Old Squirrel Knives Scythe? Are you going to pick one up? They're going to be releasing soon. $60 to $70 means that this is going to be highly available to a lot of people. You get cage ceramic bearings, micarta, 154 cm. It's going to have a wire clip, which you know how I feel about those, but I don't hate them. And I just think that it's so cool. If you liked the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, boo-hoo, you know what to do. And if you want to see more on this knife, make sure you hit subscribe. And for those of you who hung around till the end, I promised a bonus for those who are new to knife collecting, new to the knife world. Something that I'm going to be doing from now on is adding in a little piece of advice for people that are new to the hobby. If you want to know how you sharpen this knife with a regular stone, I'm going to show you how. I'm not actually going to sharpen it, but I'm going to show you how. So most sharpening stones like this are flat. That does not work for this blade shape. However, if you rotate it so that you're sharpening that edge with just a corner of the stone, that will allow you to hit every inch of that bevel and sharpen the knife without having a rounded stone. How's that sound, guys? Hey, thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you on the flip side.